Boxing is an age-old gladiatorial sport that horrifies some and inspires others.
Fantastic punch.
If you want to know if Undisputed qualifies as a realistic boxing simulator, then you're definitely watching the right review.
They are giving us a high-tempo show. Looks like we're going to...
Decent boxing simulators have been few and far between. The cream of the crop was probably one of the Fight Night series from EA, which released mostly onto console. Let me know in the comments what your favourite EA Fight Night series game was. On PC though, boxing simulators are even scarcer. Arguably, Creed Rise to Glory is a VR/PC game, but it is most definitely not a simulator. If you have a VR capable PC, then Thrill of the Fight is a simulator option. But what if you don't have VR, or perhaps you don't want to risk breaking your knuckles on the wall by accident? Well, at last, stepping into the ring is Undisputed, formerly known as Esports Boxing Championship, which has finally launched in early access on PC.
And watching this live with me is Johnny Nelson.
It's action night.
Time for our tail of the tape. Deontay Wilder, he is the bronze bomber, 6'7" tall with that massive 83-inch reach. And in the other corner, Tyson Fury, he stands an imposing 6'9" tall with a reach of 85 inches.
You've got power, you've got size. It's like somebody blocked the sun out. Then you've got someone that's shorter, that's lighter, that's smaller. They've got to move, they've got to use their speed. Depend on their boxing skills. If you can do that, if you can outbox them, you can beat anybody that's in front of you. Got to be smart, got to be sharp, got to stay on your toes.
Here he comes, the bronze bomber, Deontay Wilder, fighting out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the former heavyweight champion of the world.
The Boxing Holy Grail then is a boxing simulator with PC next-gen graphics that looks and sounds amazing. And I have to say that Undisputed scores very highly on each of those markers. But there are a few issues that need to be highlighted and numerous missing features that I would like to see added at full release. On Steam right now, this title will set you back £26.99, and whilst it has spent many years in development, it is launching in a very much early access state. This means there's no player creation or career mode, but fear not, because there is a roadmap highlighting what else is set to come in 2023. For me, creating my own character and trying to achieve the heavyweight boxing championship belt in career mode is the second most important aspect of any boxing game, second only to the actual boxing itself, which I will discuss in great detail at the end of this review. So then, until career mode releases, I will not feel completely satisfied. Furthermore, I want that career mode experience to be lengthy, immersive, and very, very realistic. Be sure to check out my top 10 most wanted feature video. Thankfully, there is enough of the game available right now to get a good feel for what this title is, and therefore I can review the game based on what is currently on offer. First, a positive note. I think it's extremely impressive just how many well-known boxing superstars they have managed to include in this early access title, along with women's boxing and governing bodies and brands alike, and they have done it whilst still keeping the price reasonable. With this early access launch, they have unquestionably captured the look, the movement and the boxing style of many of the individual boxers superbly. That despite only having a mere 60-odd boxing strikes implemented. The stark differences between fighters are immediately evident and further compounded with huge amounts of background data and specific traits which give each boxer special skills and abilities whilst still retaining that most important thing, authenticity. Immersion too is high as the venue ambiance is equally well captured with decent audio and fan animations alike.
Let's do it.
These athletes have promised us a war. Let's see if they deliver. And this is for that jab. Caught him with a stiff jab.
There is a very basic tutorial which they call training. This shows you most but not all of the controls available in the game and could be improved dramatically. I do hope that the career mode will include a trainer's voice and some cutscenes to make this experience more compelling. To see all of the available controls, you will need to look at the keybinds. Pushing your opponent away and taking the knee are just some of the available options that are not mentioned in the tutorial. And here I must identify a potential issue. You can choose between using the right thumbstick or the XY buttons, or a combination of both, in order to throw punches. But some movements do require the R3 button, and 50% of the time or more when I try to use that button, I accidentally throw a punch instead. If the right thumbstick controls could be removed completely, or the buttons can be changed into a combination that works for me, then this issue will be solved. I'll be honest, I didn't have time to check before making this review, so maybe that's already implemented, and if not, I hope it's implemented at full release. Immediately after completing training, you can jump into your first match. Now obviously you'll be playing as somebody else, as you cannot yet create your own character. This will be a pretty straightforward match that you should win comfortably, although beating your opponent to a pulp does not in any way guarantee you victory. If the judges' points are left to decide who the winner is, well, let's just say I've lost quite a few matches that seemed like they would be easy wins. Three prize fights are added daily, and these are a one-shot challenge for you to enjoy. Otherwise, you will be choosing to play against the AI in a matchup of your choosing, or you could play against other humans online. Now, the online performance on my system was mostly good, despite playing in 4K on Ultra at 60 FPS, and that's whilst using a really old hard drive as well, which I do need to update and replace. I would say I had about 5% or less of the matches which fell below a standard I felt was adequate enough to fight with, and a few players either quit out early or dropped their connection out. But on the most part, I must say that I enjoyed the vast majority of the matches, despite losing the vast majority of them. Now, the quality of the actual boxing itself is probably the most important aspect for most players, and most of the online players who I fought against wanted to play and box realistically. I say most because there was one guy at least who just wanted to rotate nearly the entire match, to the point where I actually felt queasy. And although his tactic actually worked and I did lose that match, it annoyed me a heck of a lot. On the back of that experience then, I think that alternative camera options and movement options should be improved. I don't ever recall feeling slick when I was playing any of the Fight Night series.
This counter puncher is going to wait for you to move first, and then will strike like a snake. Keep an eye on this guy. This is not
So the most important thing then is how realistic is the actual boxing itself. Honestly, it's clear to me, and has been for a number of years, that the devs really wanted to release a very authentic fighting experience. And I really like the implementation that they have provided, with 2 health bars to manage, one denoting stamina and the other your head health. At least I think that's what it is. It's never really been very well explained.
So final 10 seconds of the round, and he is looking really sharp. Well, there was no doubt about who won that round.
Now, some people simply don't see or understand the precision, skill and tactics the best professional boxers have mastered. But in Undisputed, the difference between a rookie and a pro is all too easy to see. You will have to learn your craft if you want to win, and each boxer is unique.
Punch. We're always looking for that KO, and we could see an upset right here.
You've got all the basic boxing moves, jab, straight, cross, hook and the 2 uppercuts. You can apply extra power to any of these at the expense of stamina. And if your stamina gets too low, you won't be able to throw any more punches, at least not effective punches. And you can also aim these punches either at the upper or lower body of your opponent. Other things affect stamina too: constant weaving and movement, blocking, clinching or escaping from a clinch. And if you take too many hits to your core, your overall stamina will shrink even more. Some health and stamina is regained at the end of each round, but not very much, so you will, no matter what you do, progressively become more worn out after each round, and as such, managing your stamina is an important part of the fight. On the most part, the button press to punch response time is good, allowing you to throw together some nice combinations, but there certainly are times when a punch will be cut short or not thrown at all. I'm not entirely sure if this is a bug in the system or something that I'm doing by accident. There are 2 movement stances, and I'm not talking about southpaw here, although you can switch to that at any time, but there's a freer footwork mechanic which is available at the expense of being more susceptible to being knocked down. Every boxer's style and stance has been captured pretty perfectly. There are a few of my favourite underdog boxers that are not here and I would love to see added, but there are an impressive number of boxers here already, both male and female. Each boxer has a unique set of attributes and skills which, if utilised correctly, will ensure each fighter has a great chance at winning any fight. As far as authentic boxing simulation goes, they have come really close to nailing it. They do have all the basics included: slip punch, weave, dodge and block, and their physics-based punching system which ensures that blocks can be penetrated or circumvented. But for me, the main issue here is that the punch animations are kind of set in stone. Don't get me wrong, the animations themselves are immaculate and they can look spectacular, but they do not seem to be dynamic enough to really deliver the ultimate boxing experience. I'll try and explain what I mean here. The boxer's glove will not seemingly deviate from the preset trajectory of the animation in order to hit the opponent, but instead it will always transition through the entire animation and finish at the exact same point every time. The result of this is that lots and lots of decent punches seem to miss the opponent completely, when they should be at the very least delivering a weak to medium punch. What I would have loved to have seen is the glove moving towards the opponent regardless of where they are, with the arm following for the given axis, and the quality and the position and timing would denote the power and quality of the punch and the connection. So if you get the timing and the distance right, you get maximum impact. If you're a little too close, you maybe get half impact, and if you're too far away, obviously you're going to miss. Instead, what we have is a game-style approach requiring you to learn the perfect distance to throw each punch type, for each boxer that is. And this is something that can and will be exploited by certain players who value a win over a decent and realistic fight. Which is okay, it just isn't quite as realistic as I hoped it would be, and more akin to something like Mortal Kombat. Now the roadmap does highlight match balancing, and I'm sure that this is something that they will manage adequately. Given enough time and practice though, I am also certain that 2 quality players would be able to deliver an excellent and realistic boxing exhibition, and one which is easily going to be superior to any of the EA Fight Night series that we've seen before. Primarily in the quality of the next-gen graphics and animations, for example when a good hit connects and you can see the body ripple effect, or the facial damage and the skin flashing when repeated hits cause significant damage. As a full title, Undisputed does lack in a few areas, but as an early access title with more to come, for me it has delivered knockout blows where it counts most, and it's easily a recommendation from me. However, I must reiterate the importance of that career mode. The level of depth and immersion of that career mode is critical, because as it is right now, there wouldn't be enough content to keep me coming back time and again. So I, for one, will be waiting patiently for updates and hoping that my top 10 missing features are included in the full release.